The richest man in the room walked right past a woman on the curb, didn't slow down, didn't look, but his son stopped, like his feet locked up. He stared at her, then whispered, "Dad, that's Mom." Leo Blake held his father's hand tight as they stepped out of the Blackstone Hotel. Behind them, the entrance glowed like a movie set. Valets jogging, cameras flashing, people smiling like they belonged there. Brian Blake barely noticed any of it. His mind was already somewhere else. He glanced down for half a second. "You okay, bud?" Before Leo could answer, Brian was already back in motion. Bluetooth in his ear, business in his voice. "Monday," he said. "We close Monday, papers on my desk." One hand in his coat pocket, the other guiding Leo forward, like Leo was something he couldn't lose. Leo didn't talk, he just hugged a beat-up plush lion to his chest. One ear bent, threadbare paws, the kind you don't replace because it isn't just a toy. It's home. They went down the marble steps. Cold air hit Leo's face. He blinked hard and kept walking. Brian didn't slow, he never slowed. "Text me the updated numbers," Brian said, "not email." Text. They turned off the main street. The lights got weaker. The noise fell away. The sidewalks got rough. The street got quiet. Closed shops, a flickering sign, a puddle reflecting a busted neon open sign, but nothing was open. Leo's shoes tapped the pavement, small, steady steps. Then he slowed, not because he was tired, because he heard something. At first it was just wind, then it became a voice, soft, low, like it didn't want to be noticed. "Musical notes, you are my sunshine, my only sunshine." Musical notes. Leo stopped. Brian took 2 more steps before he felt the slack in Leo's arm. He turned back, annoyed, still on the call. "Leo, come on." Leo didn't move. Up ahead, near a dark storefront, a woman sat on the curb beside an old stroller. Her coat was too big and worn at the cuffs. Blonde hair pulled back messy, strands loose around her face. She leaned toward the stroller like she was guarding something, and she kept singing. "Musical notes, you make me happy, when skies are grey." Musical notes. Brian's grip tightened. "Don't stare," he muttered, low enough for Leo only. "Keep walking." Leo's eyes didn't leave her. The woman reached into the stroller and adjusted a blanket. Careful, gentle. The stroller wasn't holding a baby, it was holding a teddy bear, old, faded, wrapped up like it mattered. Like it was real. The woman stroked the bear's head with 2 fingers and whispered, "SHH, Mommy's here." Leo's throat tightened, because he'd heard that before, in the dark, from someone who made him feel safe. Brian tugged his hand again. "Leo." Leo didn't budge. Brian kept his voice controlled, the way he spoke in meetings. "Buddy, we're going." Leo swallowed, his grip tightened on the plush lion. "Dad," he said. Brian sighed without looking down. "What?" Leo didn't blink, not once. "That's Mom." Brian stopped cold, the call in his ear crackled. "Brian, you there?" Brian didn't answer. His eyes stayed on the woman. "No," he said quietly, almost to himself. He crouched so he could meet Leo's face. "Leo, we talked about this." Leo's mouth pressed into a straight line. He wasn't playing, he was sure. Brian's voice softened, but it hurt coming out. "Leo, your mom didn't make it." Leo didn't flinch. "She's not gone," he said. "She's just not home yet." Brian straightened slowly, like standing up took effort. The woman kept rocking the stroller. Her lips moved with the song, like the melody was the only thing holding her together. "Musical notes, please don't take my sunshine away." Musical notes. Brian didn't want to walk closer. Not yet. Because hope is dangerous when you already said goodbye. But then the streetlight flickered just for a second, and the light caught her face. A scar along her right cheek, a faint line uneven running toward her temple. His stomach dropped. 5 years ago, that's what the doctors told him. That's what the report said. An icy bridge, twisted metal. No body. Brian signed the papers anyway, held the funeral anyway, and taught himself how to breathe around the empty space. He took 1 step forward. The woman's eyes lifted for a split second. They passed over him like he was a stranger, like he didn't exist. Then she looked down again and whispered to the bear, "Mommy's here." Brian's heart thudded in his ears. He stepped closer, careful, not rushing, not towering, just trying to be real. His voice came out rough. "Donna." The name barely came out. The woman stopped rocking. Slowly she raised her head. Her eyes were tired, not wild, not mean. Just tired in a way that made Brian's chest ache. She stared at him like she knew him but couldn't place him. Brian swallowed. "It's me," he said softer. "Donna, it's me." Her brow tightened. Her lips parted like she wanted to speak but couldn't find the words. Leo took a tiny step forward without thinking. Brian lifted an arm to keep him close. The woman's gaze stayed on Brian. Her eyes flicked to his coat, then back to his face. And something shifted, small but real, like a door cracked open in her mind. Then she whispered, barely audible, "You still hate the rain." Brian's knees nearly gave out. Because that wasn't a guess, that was a memory. Leo sucked in a breath. His eyes shined, but he didn't cry. He just stared like the world finally caught up. Brian tried to speak, tried to say her name again, tried to say anything. But before he could, a car rolled in slow, not lost, not casual. Its windows were tinted, too dark for this street. The woman's whole body tensed, her hand clamped around the teddy bear like it was a life jacket. Fear flashed across her face, raw and instant, like she knew that car. Her breathing got shallow, like she was trying not to exist. Brian turned toward the headlights, and without thinking, he stepped in front of Leo. The car slowed even more. The windows started to roll down. The woman whispered, so quiet it barely carried, "Oh no, you still hate the rain. If this hit you, hit like so." YouTube pushes stories with heart. And subscribe, because what happens next changes everything. Brian looked back at the woman to ask what she meant, but she was already trying to stand, shaking, pulling the stroller back like she needed to disappear. Leo gripped Brian's coat. His voice shook now. "Dad, she's scared. Comment Sunshine if you believe that was really her, and share this with someone who's ever lost somebody and still kept a little hope alive." The pavement already had that dark shine to it, not rain, just leftover damp, like the street had been holding its breath. The car came in slow, too slow, like it wasn't worried about witnesses. Brian pulled Leo in close. One arm around him, not gentle, protective. Donna saw the car and went stiff, not surprised, not confused, afraid. "Donna," Brian whispered. "Hey, what is it?" She didn't answer. Her hand tightened around the teddy bear. Her knuckles went white, the window slid down. A man sat behind the wheel, nice coat, clean hands. And when he lifted his hand to rest it on the door, a gold signet ring caught the streetlight. Donna flinched like she'd been slapped. The man didn't look at Leo, didn't even glance at him. His eyes stayed on Donna like she was a mistake that wouldn't stay erased. His voice was low, flat. "Donna." Donna's lips moved, but no sound came out. Brian stepped forward, putting himself between the stroller and the car. "Who are you?" he snapped. "Back up." The man's gaze slid to Brian for the first time, and he smiled, tiny and cold, like he recognized him. The man leaned closer to the window. "The street's already wet," he murmured, then softer, "Rain's coming." Donna's breath caught. "You know what happens when it rains," the man added. Brian turned slightly toward her. "Donna, what's he talking ab?" But she was already moving. Fast, she yanked the stroller back, wheels squealing, scooped the teddy bear up like a baby and stumbled away. "Donna, wait." Brian reached out. She didn't stop. The man sighed like this was annoying. Then he said it. "Brian." Brian froze because Brian hadn't said his name. The man's voice stayed calm, almost polite. "Don't dig. Not if you want your son to keep sleeping at night." Brian's blood turned cold. The window rolled up. The car eased forward and disappeared into the block like it had never been there. Leo's fingers tightened around Brian's coat. "Dad," Leo whispered. "Why did he know your name?" Brian stared into the dark where Donna ran. "I don't know," he said, but his stomach said otherwise. His body knew that kind of threat. It wasn't random. Brian drove like his hands didn't belong to him. White knuckles on the wheel. Leo in the back seat, silent, clutching that plush lion like a seatbelt. Brian's throat burned, because if Brian talked, he might break. The house lights looked too warm when they pulled in, too normal. Like life hadn't just cracked open. Lisa was on the couch when they walked in, blanket over her legs, book open. She looked up fast. "Hey, Leo." Her voice softened. "You hungry?" Leo didn't answer. He walked straight past her, straight to his room. Lisa watched him go, then turned back to Brian. Her eyes didn't accuse, they measured. "What happened?" she asked. Brian loosened his tie like it was choking him. "Long night," he said. And Lisa knew that wasn't the whole truth. She stood, slow, careful. "You want to tell me why our kid looks like he saw a ghost?" Brian opened his mouth. Nothing came out. Lisa nodded once, like she understood more than he wanted her to. "Okay," she said quietly, "not tonight." But her eyes stayed on him when she sat back down, guarded, concerned, like she was bracing for something she couldn't name. Brian sat at his desk with one lamp on. The rest of the house is asleep, or pretending. He opened an old folder on his laptop, one he hadn't touched in years, videos, photos, reports. He clicked a video, Donna on a couch, younger. Softer, hair bright, baby Leo tucked against her chest, face pressed into her sweater, and there it was. Musical notes, "You are my sunshine, my only sunshine." Musical notes. Brian's jaw tightened. Same key, same pace. That tiny pause before sunshine. He closed the video like it burned his fingers. Then he opened the accident report. His eyes scanned down. Icy bridge, twisted metal, time of call, weather conditions. He scrolled, slower, then he stopped. Page 4 was missing, not torn, not smudged, cleanly removed. Brian stared at the blank gap like it stared back. He scrolled again, then back up. A stamp in the corner, AMENDED. Brian's mouth went dry. He whispered it like saying it out loud would make it real. "No body recovered." His hand covered his mouth without thinking, like his body reacted before his brain could. Something was wrong, not tragic, not unfortunate, wrong. The next afternoon, Brian went back. No suit, no cologne, no polished shoes, just a plain coat and a hot drink in his hand. He found Donna near the same block, tucked beside a wall with peeling posters. The stroller was there again. The teddy bear wrapped up again. Donna rocked it slowly, murmuring like the world would fall apart if she stopped. Brian approached carefully, not too close. He set the cup down on the ground a few feet away. Steam rose into the cold. "I'm not here to mess with you," he said. Donna didn't look up. Then her voice, quiet and sharp, "Don't stand there. People watch." Her eyes flicked past Brian over his shoulder like she was counting exits. Brian held still. "I won't hurt you," he said. "I swear." Donna's gaze flicked up for a second, just a second. "What do you want?" she asked. Brian swallowed. He decided to keep it simple. "I think I knew you," he said. "A long time ago." Donna stared at him like he was trying to sell her a dream. Brian nodded toward the teddy bear. "You call him Leo." Donna's fingers tightened around the blanket. "He's my boy," she whispered. Brian's chest tightened. "Did you have a son?" he asked. Donna's mouth trembled. Her eyes got distant like she was watching something far away. "Yes," she whispered. "I did." Brian's breath caught. "What was his name?" he asked, barely audible. Donna's lips moved slowly. "Leo." Brian's hand went to his mouth without thinking, like his body reacted before his brain could. "No one out here knows that name," he whispered. "How do you know it?" Donna shook her head hard. "I don't know," she said, voice cracking. "It's stuck." Her rocking sped up. "I lost him," she whispered. "But I hear him." Brian leaned in a fraction. "In your sleep?" he asked. Donna nodded, eyes wet but refusing to spill. "He cries," she whispered. "Then it cuts off, like someone pulls the plug." Brian felt his stomach drop. He looked around the street without moving his feet. Corners, shadows. Cars passing slow, then he looked back at her. "The car last night," he said. "The man with the ring, who is he?" Donna flinched. "No," she whispered, shaking her head. "Don't ask me that." Her breathing sped up, panic rising fast. Brian backed off instantly. "Okay," he said. "Okay, I'm sorry." Donna hugged the teddy bear tight, rocking like she was trying to keep herself from falling apart. Brian took a breath. "It's cold," he said. "You need somewhere safe." Donna laughed once, short, bitter. "Safe doesn't exist," she whispered. Brian reached into his pocket and set a card on the ground near the cup. His name, his number. "If you ever want warmth," he said, "call me. No questions, no pressure." Donna stared at the card like it might bite. Brian stood slowly. "I'll come back tomorrow," he said, "if you're still here." Donna didn't answer. But she didn't push the cup away either. That night Leo sat on his bedroom floor drawing. Lisa paused in his doorway. She didn't come in loud. She didn't force a smile. She just said, gentle, "Hey, bud." Leo held up the paper. A woman with blonde hair, a stroller, a teddy bear. Lisa's face tightened just for a second, then she softened it. "That's really good," she said. Leo looked up at her, calm and serious. "That's my mom," he said. "My first mom." Lisa swallowed. She nodded like she accepted the words, but her eyes stayed on that drawing like it meant something was about to change. The next day, Brian went back with a plan. A small apartment, warm blankets, a nurse, a therapist. He wasn't trying to control Donna, he was trying to keep her alive. He parked and walked fast toward the spot. Then stopped, empty, no stroller, no blanket, no Donna. Brian spun, scanning the street. A shop owner across the way, older guy, cigarette in his mouth, watched him. Then nodded toward the alley. "You looking for the blonde lady?" he called. Brian rushed over. "Where is she?" The man grimaced. "White van, no markings," he said. "If you're in this with them, hit like. And subscribe, because next part finally shows who's behind it." They moved fast. She fought. Brian's chest tightened. And then he heard it. A faint squeak like stroller wheels dragged over concrete. Brian's eyes snapped down. Near the curb lay a piece of faded blanket. Torn, stretched. The corner Donna always tucked around the teddy bear. Brian picked it up with shaking hands. Behind him, Leo's voice cut through the air. "Dad." Brian turned. Leo stood at the edge of the sidewalk, eyes wide, face pale. He pointed down the street. And in the distance, that same slow car rolled past again. It didn't stop, it didn't need to, it just wanted Brian to see it. Brian's phone buzzed. One message, unknown number, "Don't dig or you lose the boy." Brian stared at the screen, breathing hard, then he looked at Leo, and felt it clear as ice. This wasn't about Donna anymore, this was about his son. Comment, find her if Brian should go after that van. And share this with someone who would fight for family, no matter who they had to face. Brian stared at the message, "Don't dig or you lose the boy." He didn't show it to Leo. He didn't swear, he didn't panic. He locked his phone. Good, now he knew it was real. Brian turned and crouched in front of Leo, blocking the street with his body. Hey, he said, calm on purpose, eyes on me. Leo's face was pale. That plush lion was pinned to his chest like a shield. We're going home, Brian said, and we're going to do this smart. Leo swallowed. Are we in trouble? Brian nodded once, honest, controlled. We're in a situation, he said. That's all, and you're going to listen to me like it matters. Leo nodded, quick, silent. Seatbelt, Brian said. Brian slid into the driver's seat, started the engine and pulled away. He checked the rearview mirror twice. Then 3 times, they reached the driveway. Brian didn't take Leo inside right away. He sat there with the engine off, listening, no footsteps, no second car creeping past. He pulled his phone out again and dialed one number, 2 rings. A man answered, low voice, no greeting. Yeah, Cal, Brian said, I need you tonight. A beat, you okay? No, Brian said, I need coverage, house front and back, and I need to know if anyone's riding my bumper. Cal didn't ask why. 10 minutes, Cal said, front and back plates, he added. I'll run them. Brian hung up, then he finally took Leo inside. Lisa was waiting in the living room, blanket on her lap, book open, eyes not reading. The door clicked shut and she stood. Hey Leo, she said soft. You hungry? Leo didn't answer. He walked past her like he didn't trust his voice. Lisa watched him disappear into the hallway. Then her eyes snapped to Brian. What happened? Brian kept his coat on. Long night, he said. Lisa held his gaze. She didn't buy it, but she didn't attack it either. Then Brian held up his phone. Lisa read the text. Her face shifted fast. Concern replaced everything else. That's not a prank, she said. Brian shook his head. Lisa looked toward the hallway again. Did he see that? No, Brian said, not the words. Lisa exhaled through her nose. Then she walked to the window and pulled the curtain back an inch. She checked the street, checked the corner, checked again, then she turned back. Okay, she said, we're not doing normal tonight. Brian blinked. Lisa, she cut him off. Not rude, just firm. I'm not losing him, she said, not on my watch. That hit Brian harder than the threat text did. Lisa grabbed her keys. I'm calling my sister, she said. Leo sleeps there tonight. Brian started to argue. Lisa raised one finger. No, she said quietly. If someone's watching this house, they don't get him in it. Brian hesitated. Cal's headlights swung into the driveway. Cal stepped out, plain jacket, calm posture, eyes already scanning. Lisa met him at the door like she'd done this before. You Cal? She asked. Cal nodded. Lisa pointed at the street. You're on kid duty with me tonight. Cal glanced at Brian, then back at Lisa. Yes, ma'am, he said. Lisa didn't smile, but she respected him instantly. Signature scene, sunshine. Brian went into Leo's room. Leo sat on his bed, still dressed, plush lion in his lap, like sleep wasn't even a thought. Brian sat beside him. Hey, Brian said, we're doing a safety plan. Leo's eyebrows lifted. Like a fire drill. Exactly, Brian said. A drill. Leo nodded, trying to be brave. Brian leaned in, voice low but steady. New rule, he said. If you ever feel scared or you can't find me, you say one word to the nearest grown-up. Leo swallowed. What word? Brian didn't hesitate. Sunshine, he said. Leo blinked. Like the song, Brian nodded. If you can't find me, Brian said, you say sunshine and you go to a safe adult. A teacher, a mom with kids, a police officer. Anyone? Leo's voice got smaller. Even if I think you're close. Brian's throat tightened, but he kept his tone steady. Then you say it anyway, he said, because it tells me you need to move. Leo's lip trembled. Even if it's scary, Leo whispered. Brian held his gaze. Especially if it's scary, Brian said. Leo nodded, slow and serious. Okay, he whispered. Sunshine. Brian hugged him tight, quick, then he stood. Pack your toothbrush, Brian said gently. Sleepover. Lisa drove Leo to her sister Jen's place. 3 loud dogs, motion lights, cameras over the garage, a place that felt lived in and protected. Brian watched them leave, chest tight. Then Cal touched Brian's shoulder. Let's go, Cal said. You're not sitting still tonight. Brian nodded. No argument. Investigation, the first truth shard in Cal's car. Brian opened the accident report again. Page 4 still missing. That was its own problem. But Brian wasn't there to stare at missing paper. He scanned the top. Responding agency, North River Incident Support Unit. Brian typed it in once. Nothing, not even a dead link. He scrolled down, eyes sharpening. 2 lines sat on the page like a joke. Time of first response, 2:11 a.m. Time of 911 call, 2:19 a.m. Brian stopped breathing. Cal leaned slightly. What? Brian pointed. Cal's jaw tightened. That's backwards, Cal said. Brian whispered. That means someone wrote the story first. He clicked into the file details, metadata, uploaded, edited. A user tag showed up in the corner. Ah. KLLAR. Brian went still. Cal watched him. You know it. Brian swallowed. I know a Keller, he said, not a stranger, not a street name, a name from his world. Villain presence, reach, less talking, more terror. Brian's phone rang. Unknown number. Cal's eyes narrowed. They're watching. Brian answered anyway. Yeah, a calm voice came through, the same calm as last night. Nice jacket, the voice said. Navy, red zipper. Brian's blood turned cold. Because Leo wore that jacket tonight, the voice continued, still calm. Aunt Jen's porch light is flickering, it said. You should fix that. Brian's knuckles went white around the phone. Cal's head snapped toward Brian. Because that detail meant one thing, they weren't guessing, they were there. Brian's voice came out low. Where is she? A pause, no anger, no rush. Go home, the voice said. Be a dad. And stop. The line went dead. Cal didn't blink. They're tracking your phone, Cal said. Or your car. Brian stared forward. This was aimed, he said. Donna POV, 35 seconds of dread. Donna blinked awake under harsh white light. A grey table, a folding chair, no windows. A woman's voice, bored and sharp. Sit up, Rachel. Donna flinched. That's not my. It is today, the woman cut in. Donna's throat tightened. The woman leaned closer, voice low. When it rains, you behave. Donna swallowed. I need my son, she whispered. I need Leo. Silence. Then the woman said, say the line. Donna's eyes filled. When it rains, Donna whispered, shaking, I behave. Good, the woman said. Now be quiet. Donna stared at the table, hands trembling. And deep in her memory, a song tried to rise, like a rope thrown into dark water. Lead footage that proves the ring. Cal drove them to the convenience store by the block. Brian walked in fast, then caught himself. He softened his voice. I need camera footage, Brian said to the clerk. White van, no markings. The clerk frowned. Police. Brian pulled up a still frame from an old video, Donna's face. Clear, my son's mom, Brian said. She was taken. The clerk swallowed, then nodded. Back, he said. A dusty DVR sat in a metal cabinet. Cal moved like he'd done it 100 times. The screen flickered. The alley. A white van sliding into frame. Side door opens. Two men, quick, clean. Donna fought. Brian's jaw tightened so hard it ached. Then the camera caught the driver half a second through the windshield. A flash. A ring. Brian's voice dropped. That's him. Cal froze the frame. The ring glinted clear as a signature. The clerk whispered, man. Brian didn't look away. Brian's phone buzzed. A message. Unknown number. A location pin. Then two lines. Bring the boy. You walk in alone. Brian's stomach dropped. A third line followed. And don't tell anyone. Cal stared at Brian. They want Leo nearby, Cal said, but they want you isolated. Brian's hands trembled just once, then stilled. He thought of Leo practicing the code word. Sunshine, sunshine, sunshine. He swallowed hard. I'm not handing them my son, Brian said, but I'm not leaving Donna in that room either. Cal's voice stayed careful. So what's the move? Brian stared at the location pin like it was a cliff. Then he said it. Get me to Jen's, Brian said. I need to see Leo. Cal blinked. Brian's voice cut clean. I'm going to meet them, he said. On my terms. Cal didn't argue, he just started the car. If you're in this with them, hit like and subscribe, because part 4 is where Brian finally turns the tables. Across town, Leo sat on Jen's couch with the dogs around him. Lisa stood in the kitchen, phone in her hand, watching the windows like she could see danger coming. Leo whispered to himself, practicing. Sunshine, sunshine. Brian's car pulled up. He stepped out, heart pounding, and his phone buzzed one last time, a final message. If the boy is not nearby, we'll know. Brian stared at it, then he looked at the house. Lisa, Leo, safety. Then he looked back at the darkness beyond the streetlights. Donna, a grey room, that phrase, when it rains, you behave. Brian whispered, barely audible, I can't do both. Comment, sunshine, if you think Leo should never leave that house tonight. And comment, turn the tables, if Brian should walk into that meeting anyway. Brian stared at the location pin, then he typed one word to Lisa, sunshine. He hit send, turned his phone off, and set it on the kitchen counter like he was leaving a piece of himself behind. He didn't tell her anything. Not in words, but she'd understand. Brian grabbed his keys and walked into the living room. Lisa was already there, coat on, eyes sharp. Cal's outside, she said. Brian nodded. Leo stays here, he said, with Jen, with the dogs. With the cameras. Lisa didn't argue, she just looked toward the hallway where Leo was. Brian swallowed. And one more rule, he said. If anyone says the word rain to him, he runs. Lisa's eyes tightened. Sunshine, she said. Brian exhaled. Yeah. At Aunt Jen's house, everything felt protected. Motion lights, cameras over the garage, 3 dogs that didn't trust the dark. Jen stood by the counter holding her phone like a weapon. Lisa paced once, then forced herself still. Cal was near the monitors. He set a small strobe unit on the table. Just in case, Cal said. Leo sat on the couch, plush lion tucked under his arm. He whispered like he was studying. Sunshine means run, sunshine means run. Lisa crouched in front of him. Leo looked up. Sunshine means run. Lisa nodded, soft and steady. Yeah, she said, it does. Leo's voice got smaller. Are you scared? Lisa glanced at the window, then back to him. I'm watching, she said. That's different. Leo nodded like that made sense. The porch light flickered once. Lisa noticed, so did Cal. Cal's voice dropped. That porch light, same one they mentioned. Jen swallowed. Okay, that's not cute. The dogs stared at the front door like they could smell someone thinking. Lisa leaned closer to Leo. If you hear someone say rain, she whispered, you don't look for us. You run. Leo nodded hard. Sunshine, he whispered. Lisa touched his cheek gently. That's my boy, she said. Then she stood and met Cal's eyes. Protect him, she said. Cal nodded. I'm not leaving this house. Lisa's jaw tightened. Good. The meeting spot sat under an old highway overpass on the edge of town. Concrete pillars, echoes, wet pavement that never fully dried. A busted streetlight flickered above it. Water dripped from a crack overhead. 1, 2, 3, it didn't feel like rain, but it sounded close. Brian parked a block away. He didn't bring his phone. He brought an envelope, thick, official-looking. Bait, inside, a fake printout, a dummy drive, a reconstructed missing page. Real enough to make them reach, not enough to destroy him. Cal followed in a second car, far back, no headlights, bodycam on. Brian had an AirTag hidden in his belt seam. Simple, old school. He walked into the underpass and stopped in the open, hands visible, still, alone visibly. That's what they wanted. A car rolled out from behind a pillar, same calm speed. Same control, the driver's window lowered, the gold signet ring glinted. The man's voice was smooth. You learn fast, he said. Brian didn't answer. He held up the envelope. I brought what you asked for, Brian said. Step closer, the man replied. Brian did, slow. He kept his hands open, shoulders loose. Eyes down just enough to look beaten. A side door opened behind Brian. 2 men stepped out, no uniforms, no patches, quiet, efficient. The ring man's voice stayed calm. Where's the boy? Brian kept his voice flat. Nearby, he said. You told me to walk in alone. I did. The ring man's smile didn't change. We'll know if you lied, he said. Brian lifted his chin a fraction. Where is Donna? Brian asked. The ring man leaned on the window. Donna, he repeated, amused, still calling her that. Then he nodded once. A door opened behind a pillar and Donna stepped out. Donna looked thinner, paler, hair pulled back too tight like someone else did it. Her eyes scanned exits, not because she was free, because she was trained. She didn't look at Brian at first. She looked at the wet concrete, the drip, a drip, drip. Brian's chest tightened. Donna, he said softly, her head lifted just a little. The scar was still there, her lips parted. The ring man's voice cut in like a switch. Careful, he said. Rain makes her complicated. Donna flinched. Brian's fingers twitched, but he didn't move. Donna, Brian said, gentle. It's me, Brian. Her eyes flicked to him, confused, afraid. Her voice came out automatic, like a recited line. When it rains, I behave. Brian's heart dropped. He looked at the ring man. What did you do? Brian asked. The ring man didn't answer. He just lifted his hand slightly. The ring flashed. Donna's shoulders tightened. Brian pulled something from his coat pocket, a tiny speaker. He pressed a button. Leo's voice filled the underpass, soft, practicing. Sunshine means run. Sunshine means run. Donna froze. Her eyes widened. Not just hearing sound, hearing home. Her breathing hitched. Brian kept his voice low. That's Leo, he whispered. That's our boy. The ring man's voice sharpened. Turn that off. Brian didn't move. Donna's lips trembled. A whisper came out like it hurt. Leo, Brian nodded, eyes burning. Yeah, he said. Donna took a half step forward. The ring man lifted his hand again. Donna stopped mid-step. Brian swallowed hard. Let her go, he said. The ring man's gaze flicked to the envelope. You want her, he said. You sign. One of the men stepped forward with a clipboard. Forms, official. The ring man's voice stayed calm. Voluntary commitment, he said. For her, so she stays safe. He tapped the paper once. And you sign an NDA, he added. You stop digging. Brian stared at the clipboard, then at Donna. She stood shaking, eyes glossy. Brian lifted the envelope slightly. Trade, he said. Her first. The ring man smiled. That's not how this works. Brian's jaw tightened. And North River? Brian asked quietly. That fake agency? The ring man's expression barely changed. North River, he said. Mine, we're the reason the report looks clean. Brian's throat went dry. You were there before 911, Brian whispered. The ring man didn't deny it. Back at Jen's, Cal leaned toward the screen. A car sat down the street, tinted windows, engine running, not parked like a neighbor, parked like a watcher. Jen's voice shook. That car wasn't there 5 minutes ago. Lisa's stomach dropped. Leo whispered on the couch. Sunshine means run. Lisa moved fast but quiet. She crouched, grabbed Leo's hands. Hey, she whispered, look at me. Leo's eyes went wide. If you hear the word rain, what do you do? Lisa asked. Leo's voice trembled. I run, he whispered. Sunshine. Lisa nodded. Good. The dog started barking hard. The porch light flickered again. Lisa swallowed. They're here, she whispered. Back under the overpass, the ring man leaned forward slightly, voice soft. Or your wife keeps getting followed, he said. And your son starts hearing words he shouldn't hear. Brian froze. The ring man added, almost kindly, Aunt Jen's porch light is still flickering. Brian's blood turned cold. He'd already warned her, but he couldn't do anything else. The clipboard was held out again. A pen clicked. Sign, the ring man said. Brian stared at the pen, then his face went calm. Too calm, he let the envelope drop. It hit the wet concrete with a slap. One of the men instinctively bent to grab it. And in that half-second, Brian moved, not like a superhero, like a dad who'd run out of patience. He shoved the clipboard aside. Grabbed Donna's wrist firm, not hurting, just enough to pull her behind the pillar. Donna gasped. The men lunged. The ring man snapped. Stop. Light flooded the underpass in pulses. Confusion, shadows jumping. Brian pulled Donna deeper into cover. He leaned close, voice urgent. Donna, he hissed. If you hear one word, he caught himself. Different now. Sunshine, he said. That means move. Donna blinked, trembling. Sunshine, she whispered. Cal's voice crackled in Brian's hidden earpiece. 2 on your left, Cal said. You got 10 seconds. Brian's heart slammed. He pulled Donna toward the darker exit. Then Cal's voice changed tight. Brian, Jen's house. Brian froze. What, he hissed. They're there, Cal said. Now. Brian pictured Leo's small hands on the lion and the front door. Donna stood right beside him, close, real, and across town his son was behind a door that might not hold. Donna's eyes flicked to the dripping concrete. Her voice shook. Brian, it's raining. And then, like she'd been trained, when it rains, I behave. Cal's voice cut in, urgent. Brian, they just opened Jen's gate. Brian shut his eyes for one split second, then he looked at Donna, and realized the ring man was right. This was never just about Donna. Brian whispered, broken and furious, I can't do both. Comment, save Leo if Brian has to run back right now. Comment, save Donna if he can't lose her again. And subscribe because part 5 is where everything breaks open. Cal's voice cracked in Brian's ear. They're at Jen's right now. Brian didn't shout, didn't run, didn't beg the universe. He looked at Donna, then he shut his eyes just for a second, and chose. Sunshine, he whispered, that wasn't for Donna. That was for Lisa. And somewhere across town, Lisa moved. J.N.'s house, the test. Lisa stood in the entryway with Jen's 3 dogs losing their minds behind her. Cal was by the monitors, one hand on the strobe unit, eyes locked on the tinted car down the street. The gate camera showed it clear now. A figure at the latch, not rushing. Testing. Jen whispered, do I call 911? Lisa didn't answer right away. She watched the front door like it might speak. Then a voice came through the wood. Calm, close. Ma'am, the voice said, open up. Lisa didn't move. The voice tried again, softer. We just need to talk. Leo was on the couch. Plush lion gone now, left in the car earlier. His hands clenched tight in his lap. His eyes were huge. Lisa turned her head slightly, kept her voice low. Leo, she whispered, look at me. Leo did. Lisa's face stayed calm, but her hands shook just a little at her sides. If you hear one word, she whispered, you do what we practiced. Leo nodded, barely breathing. The voice at the door paused. Then it said the word like it was dropping a match. Rain. Leo froze, his whole body locked. Like his brain couldn't decide if this was a drill or the end. Lisa leaned toward him, barely moving her lips. Sunshine. Leo blinked once, then he moved, fast. He slid off the couch and ran straight into the pantry Jen had already cleared out. Safe spot, no windows, solid lock. Jen met him there, pulled him in, shut the door. Leo whispered through the crack, shaking, sunshine means run. Lisa didn't look back, she stayed at the front door. The dogs slammed against the barrier, barking like they wanted to eat the night. Outside, the voice stayed calm. Ma'am, it said, open the door. Lisa's voice came out steady. No, silence. Then the porch light flickered again. And the tinted car down the street rolled forward, slow, not charging, not panicking, just creeping. Cal's jaw tightened. He clicked the strobe. The light hit the street like lightning in bursts. The tinted car hesitated. A shadow moved inside it. A hand lifted, blocking the glare. Then the car rolled backward, not defeated, not scared, leaving like it had gotten what it came for. Jen's voice trembled from the kitchen. They're leaving, Lisa swallowed. Cal didn't relax. They weren't here to take him, Cal said quietly. They were here to see if we'd panic. Lisa's chest rose and fell slow. She didn't cry. She just stood there, watching, different. Underpass, the third option back under the overpass, the emergency strobe still pulsed in the distance. Concrete shadows jumped. Drips fell like a clock. Donna stood frozen near the pillar, eyes wide, breathing fast. The ring man's silhouette moved through the flicker. You can't be in two places, Cal said in Brian's ear. Pick. Brian's jaw clenched. He didn't pick, he triggered the plan. Brian reached into his pocket and hit a small remote. A car alarm screamed under the overpass. Every head snapped toward the sound. Brian used the half-second. He grabbed Donna's hand and pulled her tighter behind the pillar, not yanking, guiding. Donna, he said low. Eyes on me. Donna's pupils darted. Wet pavement, dripping water, her breath shook. It's raining, she whispered. Not outside, she whispered. In my head. Brian cut the word off before it could sink into her. No, he said. Listen, different word. Donna stared at him like she couldn't hold thoughts. Brian's voice stayed firm. Sunshine. Brian pressed the tiny speaker into her palm again. Leo's voice played soft, small, steady. Sunshine means run. Donna's hand trembled around the speaker like it was warm. Her lips moved. No sound. Brian leaned close. Say it, he whispered. Say the words. Donna's throat worked. Son, she whispered. The ring man's voice cut through the strobe. Enough. A ring flashed as his hand lifted. Donna flinched, conditioning, trying to snap her back into place. Brian did the one thing he hadn't done yet. He put something in Donna's other hand. Leo's plush lion, the one Leo had hugged all night. Donna's fingers closed around the worn fabric. Her eyes widened, not remembering the bridge, remembering home. Donna whispered, cracking, Leo. Brian nodded, voice tight. Yeah, he said, that's his. Brian swallowed hard. Now say it, Brian said, new line. Donna stared at the lion, then at Brian, and this time she fought the reflex. Sunshine, she whispered. Brian waited, barely breathing. Donna's lips trembled harder. Sunshine means, she tried. A drip hit the pavement loud in the silence. Donna flinched, then steadied. Run, she finished. And for the first time it wasn't automatic fear, it was choice. Brian's eyes burned. Again, he whispered. Sunshine means run, Donna said, stronger. Two men moved toward the pillar. Cal's voice hit Brian's ear. Move, now. Brian pulled Donna out of cover and toward the darker exit, not sprinting, stumbling, real. Donna almost went down, her legs weren't ready, her mind wasn't steady. Brian kept her upright. They reached the edge of the underpass, and Cal's car slid in like it had been waiting. Door popped open. In, Cal said. Brian shoved Donna into the back seat, climbed in after her. Cal hit the gas. Cal drove fast but controlled, scanning mirrors. Brian kept a steady grip on Donna's hand, not holding her down, holding her here. Cal's phone buzzed. Plate came back, Cal said. Brian looked up. Cal's voice stayed flat. That tinted car at Jen's, Cal said. Registered to a shell company. Brian swallowed. Which one? Cal glanced over. Blackstone Crisis Response, Cal said. Then colder, it's under your foundation's umbrella. Brian went still. What? He whispered. Cal didn't soften it. Your charity arm, Cal said. The one that funds emergency response contracts for the city. Brian's mouth went dry. Donna's voice cracked from the back seat. Facility, she whispered. Brian turned. Donna's eyes stayed on the lion. They moved me when they said it, she said, shaking. Rain, she swallowed. Different place, she whispered. Different name. She looked at Brian like she was asking permission to be real. They called me Rachel, she said. Brian's blood turned cold. It wasn't an accident, it was a program. And the program had his name on the funding. Cal's phone buzzed again. He glanced down, jaw tightening. What? Brian asked. Cal didn't answer right away, then he said it. Jen's camera feed just went black, Cal said. Lisa's voice came through Cal's earpiece, tight but controlled. Cal, she said, someone just wiped the system. They left a mark. Brian's heart kicked. What kind of mark? He snapped. Lisa inhaled. A note, she said, on the door. And, her voice lowered, disgusted, a ring imprint. Like they pressed it into the paint. Brian's stomach dropped. Donna suddenly gasped, folding forward, her hands clenched on the lion. It's raining, she whispered, panicked. Not outside, she added, smaller. In my head, Brian grabbed her shoulders gently. Look at me, he said. Donna, look. Donna's eyes darted. Brian kept his voice firm. Sunshine, he said. Donna blinked, breathing hard. Sunshine means, Brian prompted. Donna swallowed. Run, she whispered. Cal's car swerved around a corner. Cal cursed under his breath. Door, he snapped. Brian looked back. The rear latch had fresh scratches, bright metal. Someone tried the handle. Cal locked it hard. We're marked, Cal said. Brian's hands tightened into fists. Cal pulled into Jen's driveway. Dogs barked, then changed tone when they recognized the car. Lisa threw the door open before Cal even stopped. Leo burst out of the pantry behind Jen, hair messy, eyes wet. He ran straight to Brian. Brian dropped to one knee and caught him. Leo clung to him like he'd been holding his breath for an hour. Dad, Leo whispered, shaking. I did it. Brian held him tight. I know, Brian said. You did perfect. Lisa stood behind them, chest rising and falling slow. She didn't ask for praise, she didn't make it about her, but Brian looked up at her anyway. "Thank you," he said. Lisa nodded once. "I'm watching," she said quietly. "That's different." Leo turned his head and saw Donna in the back seat. For a second he froze. Donna looked at him like he was real and impossible. Leo's voice came out small. "Mom." Donna's lips trembled. She didn't rush him, didn't pretend she was fine. She held up the plush lion like it was proof of life. "Leo," she whispered. Leo took one slow step, then another. He stopped in front of her, giving her space. Donna reached out trembling and touched his cheek with 2 fingers. Not a miracle, a start, a real one. Brian watched it like his chest was splitting open. Cal handed Brian his phone. "Look," Cal said. A board email was flagged urgent. Subject line, BLACKSTONE crisis response, contract renewal. Brian opened it. A PDF. He didn't read all of it. He didn't need to. Because the signature block at the bottom said, RKELLAR Director, Incident Support Operations. Brian's jaw clenched. Cal's eyes narrowed. "Yeah," Cal said, "that's him." Brian looked at Lisa, then Leo, then Donna. This wasn't random. This was funded. Brian's phone buzzed. One text, unknown number, 4 lines. "You did good tonight. Leo is safe for now. Don't go to the police. Check your foundation's files." Brian stared at it. Then another message came, shorter, colder. Donna wasn't the target. BRANSHE was the key. Brian's throat went dry. Leo's voice came from behind him, barely audible. "Dad, what did Mom do?" Brian couldn't answer, not yet. Because whatever this was, it was bigger than their family, and it was already inside their lives. Comment Sunshine if you're still here with them. Like and subscribe, because from here on out, the fight gets real.